Hey there, Crystal Summerbear Jones here with Wedding Secrets and Heirloom Photography. I am still traveling, and so I apologize for the lighting. I'm going to try to fix it in post, so hopefully it's a little bit brighter on my face because there's no lighting that way. There's only lighting behind me. So, anyway, I wanted to chat a little bit today. I'm going to actually bring on an expert, a wedding planner here, hopefully in the next couple months. I really want to do it in the next month because wedding planners get really busy, but I might need to catch somebody in July when it's a little bit slower. So we'll see. Because this is the time of year where they're quite busy. So if I can, I have a few wedding planners up my sleeve. So if I can snag one of them, even my own wedding planner who I did not have a fabulous experience with. Well, had she been there, it would have been amazing. However, she had an associate, and her associate just completely dropped the ball. And she was incredibly apologetic. But, it was partly it was my fault because I took too much time to go ahead and give her the deposit. And so uh, she had family. And even if I had given her the deposit in time, I still probably would have said, go spend time with your family because her family was coming into town, and that was the week of my wedding was the only week that they could come, and she hadn't seen them in a long time. And so with things like that, I do try to be understanding. And so, I do wish would have changed things, and I would have just gone with a local wedding planner instead of going with a friend of mine that I had known for several years. And I actually had to fly her associate in from Texas. So, but that's jumping into a long story right off the bat, and that's a very long story. And I think it's going to be saved for a different time than this one because I really kind of want to write down things that happen. I think it's gonna go more towards a segment about when things don't go correctly, and I really want to chat about when things don't go correctly because that's going to be a whole segment and how to handle that. This one, I really want to chat about the difference between a wedding coordinator, a day of wedding coordinator, a month of wedding coordinator, and a full service wedding planner. So, a day of wedding coordinator, many venues will say that they provide you one. I want to make it very clear that the whole goal of the day of wedding coordinator is to make sure the venue looks good. You are not their first priority. The venue is their first priority. They literally are just helping you the day of. That's it. And I have the amount of day of coordinators that I have worked with that really kind of dropped the ball and didn't really care much about what happened the day of is really high. So I would definitely suggest hiring your own personal day of coordinator. But really, I would say the month of coordinator. So what should you expect to pay for a month of coordinator? You can pay as little or as much as you want, depending on the experience. I actually paid about a little over $3,000 for mine, but then after everything was said and done, because I had to fly them in from Texas, it was about $5,000, which is what I would have paid if I had hired somebody here in California. So that's what you want to expect to pay month of coordinator. So what does month of coordinator do? Unlike the day of coordinator, their responsibility is making sure that all of the vendors are, number one, all on the same page. They know where they're meeting, when they're meeting. They have all of their insurance and paperwork sent into the venue or whomever is needed. They handle all the logistics. And if I did not have my month of coordinator, I would have gone insane. She kept everything, and she did a fabulous job at this. And this is really this is her strong point, and really what she needs to just stick to. A day of stuff and actually getting up and like being active is just not her forte. She's better at managing all the logistics behind the phone or the screen, and that's her strong point, which is totally fine. Unfortunately, she was there the day of, and it still actually hurts me thinking about it. Oh, mess of my hair. So the month of coordinator really handles all the logistics. And if you're doing a lot of DIY stuff, you definitely want that month of coordinator. Even if you aren't, you're going to be busy handling other things like the guest list, the seating chart, and that's the other thing they're going to do. They're going to be on you to make sure that you have all these things ready to go. And they hopefully will have you submit everything that you need to submit to them. You'll review it together and they can ask you any questions so that the day of everything runs smoothly. And then they also serve as your day of coordinator too. So they're both. And the month of coordinator, I have talked to a lot of planners, and a lot of planners don't like doing just month of coordination. And the reason is because by the time they get to you, a lot of brides have already made a lot of mistakes in the wedding planning process and it's a bit chaotic. Or they haven't done enough planning and the wedding planner is jumping in the last month and trying to troubleshoot all of these issues. And so that's very stressful for the wedding planner. But if you have a budget and you really can't afford full-on wedding planning services, or you don't need the full-on wedding planning services, the month of coordinator is really worth the money, I promise. Now, again, mine, the only thing that was really done correctly the day of was everything that I had prepped the day before. I can't think of, there's a list. I will write down the list, but I can't think of one thing that she did correctly the day of the wedding. Not one. She did everything correct enough where everything worked. Like the guests had a great time and it was not super noticeable to people. But it was noticeable to me and it was noticeable to a few other guests who are more attention to detail like I am. And, but again, people still had a blast. And in the grand scheme of things, people were saying what a wonderful wedding they had, or what a wonderful wedding I had. And they had so much fun at my wedding. And that's really the most important thing. But as the bride, if you've spent the last few weeks or months like planning everything in detail, and then someone comes in that you're paying good money for, and they literally just let the ball drop on every single item, it's very frustrating. And not a full ball drop, but enough where it's like, are you kidding me? You didn't do that? It's literally in the list for why didn't you do this? Or why didn't you ask me? Why didn't you ask me questions? Again, I could go in long detail about that, and I will at another time. Not when I'm traveling. So that month of coordinator, it's really worth it because they're really going to care about you and what you're doing and making sure everything runs smoothly, making sure all the paperwork is in. People forget about the paperwork needed for the wedding. They're going to make sure that you have your wedding license all taken care of, because that's also specific too. If you have somebody specific that you want to marry you, and that's going to be another video that I chat about, but there's specific paperwork that needs to be filed for that if you're not hiring a professional officiant. So there's a lot of things to think about. Now, full wedding planner. This is what most planners want to do. They want to be there from start to finish. And again, that's because they don't want to just step in at the last minute and have to troubleshoot a whole bunch of issues. Now, for me, I was very coordinated. So my month of wedding planner actually had it pretty easy because I am in the industry and I knew what I needed to do. So she had it pretty easy. But a lot of wedding planners don't when they jump in month of. So what does a wedding planner do? As little or as much as you want them to do. And they will charge you. So if there's a wedding planner, there's like full service in which they are going to be finding all the vendors for you. And they will do the work of going and finding even venues. So a lot of times people will hire, and these are usually more expensive weddings. These are weddings that generally tend to range in the $100,000 range-ish and above. So you hire a wedding planner and they will go and they will scout you. You tell them what you want as far as location and venue and how many guests you might have and all the things, all your wish list things, your must-haves and your wish list, and they can go out and find you the venues and then cull it down, and then you can go and tour them. They can find all the vendors for you. They can, a lot of them actually did used to work for a wedding planning company, and they had their own florist. So some wedding planners, it's actually a wedding designer. So there's a difference between a wedding planner and a wedding designer. Planner handles most of the logistics. However, there's a lot of wedding planners that also do the wedding design. Well, they will help you design the theme of the wedding, the colors of the wedding, the right flowers for the time of year that you want, the table decorations, even your dress, ideas for your dress, favors, wedding favors, and the timeline is the big thing. So I help guests, my clients a lot with their timeline, because a lot of my clients just have month of coordination. And so I want them to have a timeline well before that time, because I actually need to know, based off of a tentative timeline, how much service they're going to need from me. And I am an expert at wedding timelines of variety of different, I have like a actual packet of 10 different, timelines, depending on what your wedding is structured as. So you have that, and that's like a uber luxury full service. They handle everything. They can even handle the guest list and the following up with guests, and the RSVPs and the rehearsal dinner and any other activities you have. Then you can have a wedding planner that you get after you've chosen the venue, and they literally will help you, again, find the vendors, handle some of the guest lists, handle usually they'll help design parts of the day, they'll handle all the logistics, and it does really, truly, if I could have afforded it, I would have done it. We planned our wedding. I would have, had we gotten married. So the other thought was I was going to actually get married this month, April or May of 2025. That was the other thought. But I really wanted to get married sooner rather than later. So and I'm glad I did, because 2024 was a much slower year for weddings. So I actually got things at a discount, whereas 2025 is hopping, and 2026 as well. I mean, the amount of brides getting married in 2026 is through the roof, but also this year as well. So, I absolutely would have hired a full service planner. The planner I hired, I hired her full service. I think that she probably would not have sent her associate. She would have come herself. And it was about $10,000. It wasn't that expensive in the grand scheme of things, but I just knew I wanted to put that money towards photo and video and other things. And so for me, it was month of coordination was more important. So again, I'm keeping these videos a little bit shorter as I'm traveling, because I really would love to show you some examples of things, but that's hard to do when I'm traveling. So I hope this helps, because a lot of people wonder what's the difference between a day of coordinator, month of coordinator, and wedding planning. And I will be having a guest speaker on here, and we will sit and chat probably for a lot longer. And because I know a lot, but they are in the trenches day in and day out. And so they know even more than I do. So I really want to have that guest in, and we can really go into the nitty gritty. If you have any pressing questions that you would want me to ask a wedding planner or a wedding designer, please go ahead and leave it in the comments below, or even message me. My Instagram handle is at Summerbear Weddings. And you can also email me, crystal@summerbearweddings.com. So if you have any questions, again, please feel free to leave it in the comments, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.